in this entire webinar. Today, Anthony, we have here with us the co-chairs of SGAC, as well as the executive director and the chief of staff, Valentina. So right now I'm going to pass it over to Anthony to do the introduction to the Space Generation Advisory Council. Yeah, Anthony, over to you.
Thanks so much, Faith. Hi, everybody. I'm Anthony Yuen. I'm the chair for SGAC. Welcome all of you to this webinar, and thank you so much for joining us. So we're gonna keep it pretty casual. We have a chat function in Zoom, so if you actually have any questions, feel free to drop it there. If you really want to kind of ask your question, you can also, I think there's a hand raise function. Or there's a question and answer right at the end. I have Hamza, my co-chair, with me, as well as Davide, our executive director, and Valentina, our chief of staff. We can all answer your questions. We've been collectively with SGAC for probably a very long time. So, I feel free to challenge us with your questions. So thanks so much for being here. So I'm just going to give a very brief general introduction to the Space Generation Advisory Council. I know some of you might have just joined and it's very new to it. I know some of you may have actually joined for quite a while and haven't found something to do or wanted to know what you can get the most out of it. And I'm sure there's seasoned people here who have been with SGAC for a while and is looking for something even more to do. So hopefully there's something in here for everybody. So a little bit about what SGAC is. So we are the global non-governmental non-profit organization that is for students and young professionals in the space industry. We define students and young professionals as age 18 to 35. And we as an organization represent the young people to the United Nations through the Committee on Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, space agencies, the industry, academia, governments, globally. We are really the only global young space organization in the world. And as you see as a membership, we are quite extensive with a global representation. Where we come from is in 1999 at Unispace 3 in Vienna, a group of people got together and came up with the idea to actually have the Space Generation Advisory Council to advise United Nations as well as other people about what the young people think about space. And since then, that has been our mission, is really to represent the voice of youth on space matters all across the world. And we continue to do that, and we're doing that better and better all the time. So what is our purpose? So we are basically, I think, if you kind of put down to it, a huge global network of volunteers who are passionate about space and who want to make a difference in the space sector. So this is the network, the community is actually really what is the most important with SGAC. We connect our members with peers as well as top space professionals from organizations all across the world. And we really focus on providing the opportunities and the resources needed to develop the next generation to be the future leaders in the space industry and to be the future voice in the world for space. That's really what our purpose is about. So this is currently the size of our SGAC network. So we have over 21,000 members worldwide in 163 countries. And you can see all the ones with colors are when we have people. The different colors shows the concentration of different members, but we are quite well spread out across the 6 defined regions of our world. And really, you will likely find somebody from where you're from within our network. And then what do SGAC do? And for this, I really like to kind of break down into the 5 pillars of SGAC. So one is that we have events, and this is what we were known for. We have events that are international, regional, local, and that bring young people who are interested in space together to meet each other, to network, to learn new things. Secondly, we have project groups. So, special interest groups on various topics, and you see the 11 project groups that we have in a moment. That brings people who are interested in a specific topic together to either work on some sort of research or some sort of projects to really promote that particular field. And we work on having these project groups having links to the industry and to experts across the world. Thirdly is about professional development, about how we develop the next generation to be leaders in our space industry. And we do this informally by giving people opportunity to take on responsibility within SGAC that you wouldn't otherwise be able to or have the opportunity to do in your local environment. So, running a $500,000 event, doing the communications for our organization, coming up with, new and interesting projects for people to be involved on. Those are professional development. You're running a project, you're being a leader, and you do it by learning, by trying and doing it. So we've seen people learn a lot from how to run big professional events, to network, to be a space professional by simply being here at SGAC and volunteering. There's also the formal part of professional development that SGAC is developing, and this mentorship program that you're going to hear about a little bit later on is part of this professional development that SGAC does. Fourth is scholarships. We know that we all want to come to events and meet other people, and a lot of the times because where we are, there's not a lot of opportunities for events, for space, but going to other places is expensive, costly, and take a lot of time. And then this is where the scholarships come from. We put together scholarships to kind of fund people to go to different events all across the world, and that's what the scholarships are for. And finally, we have UN related activities as well as policy and advocacy in each country that we do. This drives where the space industry is going. So this is really important part of having a voice is, where do we see space going in the next 5, 10, 20 years? We want to shape it through policy and advocacy. So that's what we do. So let's talk a little bit about in depth each of the 5 pillars that I mentioned. So starting with events. So this is particularly exciting. I know some of you might be going to our SGC, the Space Generation Congress, and or the International Astronautical Congress. It's coming up in, I think, 2 weeks in Paris, France. So our team has been really working hard over the last year, putting this together. And this is our flagship event. And this is what we're known for. We've been running this for 20 years now. And this is where we bring 150 delegates from all across the world to come work and discuss and learn about key issues in the space industries. We have very high level speakers at the event, usually heads of space agencies, like the European Space Agency or NASA. We have industry leaders there, different CEOs from different companies. We have professors from different academia, all here talking in this Congress. And we have really 150 very, very high caliber young leaders in space industry kind of coming together to this Congress. So, if you can't go, keep an eye on our social media. Our 20th SGC in Paris, the theme is on diversity, access, and inclusion. So there's a way to kind of get involved. But I encourage you to keep an eye on and eventually thinking of coming to one of these because they're really a lot of fun. The second of 3 major global event is the Space Generation Fusion Forum. And this is held in conjunction with the Space Symposium in Colorado Springs, which is one of the big space conferences in the world. And this is a small group of 75 delegates. It's more focused on space, but also leadership issues in the space industry. So it's set in a beautiful setting. Again, very high level international space leaders. This year we had a head of space agency panel at the Fusion Forum, which include a key leader from NASA, the Director General of ESA, we had the German Aerospace Agency, CNES, Australian Space Agency. What else am I missing, David? Somebody else. Yeah, but like NASA. 6. Okay, yeah, and NASA, and all of them sitting together talking about where they see the space world is going. So, so that was kind of incredible to see. And the third global event that we have is called SGX, which is held in conjunction with a satellite show in Washington, D.C. And this is another big global space conference in Washington. And this is held in partnership with the Future Space Leaders Foundation and Satellite. And this is where it's more like a style talk, where it's shorter, more engaging, innovative, and actually you can watch some of those online just to get a taste of what this event is about. We do run regional events all across the world in our 6 regions. These are usually 2 days workshops and focus on regional issues and how to foster cooperation in the region and development in the next decade. And we usually have one in every region. And the best way to keep track of that is on our website. And then finally, there's always opportunity in the country for one-day national events. A lot of countries have that. And again, it's to keeping an eye out on our social media to find out if there's one near where you are. Finally, we have partner endorsed events, which are smaller ones that we run with other organizations. And we also welcome cooperating with other organizations to run these. So talk about really briefly about our project groups. Our project groups, the idea is to have a group of people who are interested in a certain topic to come together so that they can work on something throughout the whole year. And the outcomes are really usually academic papers that we present at the conferences or actual projects with key outcomes that we're extending in the space world. So these are the 11 project groups. I won't read all of them out. Take a look at them, but I'm sure you'll find something that interests you. And if you're really curious about what they are about, I encourage you to visit our website and to take a quick look at it and just learn a little bit more about project group. A lot of them are very open for memberships. They all do something different. So my advice is to kind of, if you have some topic that you're interested, join them, because that's actually the community of your people, of people who are interested in your topic. So you will find somebody, a colleague, future workmate in one of these project groups. So highly encourage you to check it out. I want to talk a little bit about scholarships next. So we give out about 150 scholarship and grants a year. This equates to just shy of $40,000 US a year in travel grants and scholarship. And this enables people to travel all across the world to our events, the global ones, the regional ones, and the local ones, as well as other events in the space calendar. The best way to keep an eye on the scholarships is through our scholarships page, as well as also our social media. But there is going to be a scholarship that suits you. And if you're not successful the first time, I encourage you to try again. It sometimes takes a couple of times because they're very competitive, but these enable people to go to places to be at those events, even if you don't have your own funds for it. So highly encourage you to check it out. Professional development. So as I mentioned before, one of the best ways to learn is by doing. And we do this by offering vacancies in our volunteering position, as well as actually one or two of our paid position occasionally, to be part of SGAC and do things on behalf of our organization. These could be anywhere as part of the team, of like a web team or communications team, or it could be leading one of our events as a manager, or leading our region as a regional coordinator, or being the national point of contact. So there is a broad range of opportunities in there, and we're always looking for people. We're a growing organization. So I encourage you to take a look at our vacancies page, and they come out once every month. As I talked about, there's the mentorship program, which is our formal part of professional development. I'm going to leave that to Faith to talk a bit more, but we love this program. I think this is a fantastic growing part of how we are developing our young leaders in the world. Finally, we are developing a jobs board. It is still a little early, but we're actually putting a lot of effort in trying to putting a place where, if you're interested in a job in the space industry, this is one of the places you should check out. So we're getting, companies to kind of contribute to this. So take a look at this when you have a chance. It's actually on the top menu options on the SGAC website. And finally, a little bit about what we do at the United Nations. So we are a permanent observer at the Committee of Peaceful Uses of Outer Space, which meets about 3 times a year. And this is where we have different member states from across the world who's interested in space, talking about the policy and legal framework governing space. We also have consultative status at the Economic and Social Committee in New York, as well as, and through these kind of statuses, we take part in the different subcommittee, in the General Assembly, and we present our outcomes from our events all across the world at these conferences, as well as kind of outcomes from our special projects there. So this is a place where we can, show the voice and the thoughts that the young people have come up with through our events at these committee meetings that other member states can take note of. So so it's very exciting. And this is how we do representation on one hand. We also have a joint collaboration with the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs on Space for Youth. And this is a fantastic program to really kind of, engage the young people and the young people's voice to promote a peaceful, just, and sustainable world in space. So it's something to kind of take a look at as well. So why become a member? So there's a slide there with a couple of things, and which kind of comes back to what SGAC does. But honestly, I really want to kind of share with you that, it's being part of SGAC is very unlike, just any organization you join. And I think the part of it that makes it special is, just taking my own personal example was, when I kind of was much younger growing up, I was interested in space. I really don't actually were living in a place where there was a lot of space opportunities. I didn't really know anybody working in the space industry. I know that in my country, there wasn't actually any jobs in space at that time. And it was really hard, to kind of like follow that passion in space when there's no support around you. SGAC is that support. It is that community. When you join and get to start to know people, you will know people in space or across the world in a way that no other organization can achieve that. And so, I've been part of SGAC now for almost 9 years, I think. And the amount of people that I know in the space world that I call friends and colleagues is just phenomenal. I can almost go to any major cities in the world and probably know an SGAC member, can have lunch or dinner with them, catch up like old friends, and talk about space stuff. And this is, I think, what is the most valuable part of being part of SGAC. I've gotten a lot out of it. It has developed me professionally and personally. And I really think but truly, I think it's the community that makes it quite special. So there's a lot of things that come to the membership. It is free if you're not a member already. But that's and so these are things that you can kind of start off with. If you're kind of getting your feet warm in SGAC. After you register, I would encourage you to subscribe to our mailing list. We have regional, local, and also global ones. And I think that's a great way to kind of stay ahead of the opportunities. We also have the SGAC Slack. We have a community of about nearly 4,000 people there. A lot of community type posting there. You will also get to try to meet other people there. It's kind of like an open space for space people. So I highly encourage you to be there. You can contact your MPOC and be part of your local network. And then, as to say, first things to kind of try to do is, keep a lookout at the vacancy opportunity, come to webinars and events like this, and then look out for scholarship opportunities. But really trying to get to know people is really a great way to kind of be part of the space generation. So I'll hand back to Faith, and we will kind of go to the next section.
First of all, do we have any questions from the floor, either in the chat, or does anyone want to unmute and ask any questions? Okay, yeah. Most of the questions in the chat have been answered, and yes, this video recording will be uploaded onto YouTube. Okay, going once, going twice.
I have a question, if you can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, so I wondered if you could tell a little bit more about the project groups. So I applied for commercial space a little while ago. I wondered when do these kind of things start, and how does that look like? How often do you meet per week and stuff like that?
Oh, sorry, Valentina.
Okay, it's the same. So the commercial space project group is one of the project group that has doesn't constantly accept new members, so they have precise timeline by which they do recruitment, and then they focus on the project. So if they haven't accepted you yet, might be that It is just not the moment in which they are, actively recruiting. But what I always suggest doing is either to directly reach out, if you haven't done it yet, to the two co-leads of the project group to ask them for your application, and as well as how often do they meet, etc. Because it really depends on how much projects you are involved in, and how much the project groups in general is currently focused on. Does this answer the question?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Okay. You're welcome.
I saw a question from Anastasia about how do you become a national point of contact in your country? So that's a great question. So we have 4 cycles of election each year for the national point of contact, and they kind of open up depending on when the terms end. So each country has 2 national point of contacts, and they all have slightly different terms, but the terms are for 2 years. So when there is an open position or vacancies, that position becomes open for anybody in that country to be applying to. So what I suggest is, again, keeping an eye on the vacancies page, but also through the mailing list, is to kind of take a look at when the vacancies would open. And then social media is also a great place to kind of look at it. But it happens about 4 times a year. The current NPOC cycle is closing. So I would actually imagine towards the end of September, you will hear the notice for the final round of election for NPOCs. National point of contact are elected. The regional coordinators elect them, and they serve for a term of 2 years. And you can take a look. Some countries have updated websites about who they currently are. I suggest if you're interested in being a national point of contact, to actually reach out to the national point of contact in your country to see what they're doing. Some of them are very active, some of them are not so much, but really it's a blank slate. It's an opportunity for you to do a lot to advance space in your country and to bring space into your country.
Yeah, I think just to add to that, thanks a lot for all of these excellent questions. I think the perfect entry point for anyone looking to do more at SGAC is certainly that NPOC position. In fact, that's how my journey at SGAC started. When I was finishing up my master's, I found out about SGAC at a conference where some of the chairs and leaders of SGAC were speaking just like this. And then at the end, they told me, you have nothing to lose, just go and sign up on the website and see what happens. And I did that. And coincidentally, there was an opening at that time for NPOC for Pakistan. I applied, I got it. And, since then, I continued to participate in more and more activities in my region, which was the Asia Pacific, and then also in Europe, where I was living at that time. And, one thing that's another. And then eventually earlier this year, got elected the co-chair. So I think the more time you invest at SGAC, the more you give, the more you get. And NPOC is a perfect place to start. But all of these questions are excellent, and we're going to try to answer all of them. Thanks.
All right, I'm going to answer the next question a little bit more broadly. I think it was, where was the event question? Oh, there you go. I see it. There was a question, are the events in person? So some of them is in person, and some of them are purely virtual, and some of them are hybrid, and it depends on types of events. And I think just to broaden this question a little bit, it's sometimes very hard to be the first thing that you do at SGAC is to come to an in-person event halfway across the world, right? It's daunting. So if you're new to this and you don't know much about space, I think the best place to start is actually a really excellent webinar series. It's actually not a series. We actually have webinars all the time that many different groups within SGAC host. Some of them might be project group specific webinars. Some of them might be country specific webinar. A lot of them are topic specific webinars, but webinars are virtual, right? They are online. Some of them have recordings, but if you're just kind of getting started, this is a great place to start because it helps you to kind of know a little bit more about space. where, currently you might not have the opportunity to learn about it. So I would say, that we having had, I don't know, 100 or 150 webinars in the last year with about 10,000 people coming to them. So they're very popular and they're very easy way to kind of just learn, right? Because when you start, you really want to know what's going on. Then the major events are usually in person, although some of them have a hybrid element because recently with COVID. So, you have to stay tuned to each event. Some they're all a little bit different, but there are opportunities to be hybrid. So I hope that answered that question. There's a mentoring question from Martin that I'm going to leave to Faith because I think after she talked about. And then architecture. So there's actually a good bunch of people in SGAC who are into space architecture. I think there's a Slack group on there, but if not, I would say just go to the Slack and just ask, who's interested in architecture? Can you point me somewhere? There is actually a good bunch of people who has that interest. So I think you will find there's actually, for example, there's groups are very niche. There's one on space microbiomes. So like bugs in space, literally. So it's a there's very niche topic all over the place, and you will find somebody who's interested in that topic.
So I see that some of the people are coming to the IAC and are keen on participating in SGAC related activities going on. So SGAC always has a booth at the IAC, and this year we'll have one as well. So we certainly recommend that you come to the SGAC booth and learn more about some of the things we're doing. We'll hopefully also be having at least a few small events at the booth, and SGAC people will be all around the IAC. In fact, I don't know the exact number, but I think combined, the SGAC project groups have had more than 50 abstracts selected for paper presentations at the IAC, which is an absolutely incredible number. So you'll see SGAC people presenting in almost every session. So please do, go chat with them if you want to learn more, and then try to, get involved. I think, as Anthony mentioned, we're all volunteers, so certainly not possible to work full time for a project group, but you can dedicate as much time as you want to, and the more time you dedicate, generally, the better, outcomes you get. And when you think of, volunteering for an organization, it's sometimes hard to do so when you don't really know what you're getting out of it. And with SGAC, the more you give in, the better your chances are for winning things such as scholarships, or, meeting the right person that will connect you to a job, or get you that interview that you've been looking for, or facilitate your trip to an event, or get you an invitation to an event. So I think because of the strength of our network and how we're recognized as the #1 network for space students and young professionals, it really makes a difference that you sort of carry that SGAC flag and represent us in different places. So yeah, I think these are, all of you seem very, very motivated, and I look forward to seeing all of you in SGAC a little more.
Hamza, thank you so much for your answers. Really, really important. I just want to add in a bit more on what you can do also during the IAC together with the SGAC. So on top of what Hamza mentioned, you can also join us on Sunday evening. It's going to be the first day of the IAC. There will be a reception for students and young professionals. So take a look at the agenda. There will be a first reception for students and young professionals in which you can meet all together and know the people that are involved within SGAC, within the IAF, and also within other organizations. But most importantly, please don't forget to join us on Tuesday evening, because on Tuesday evening, the SGAC will collaborate together with the IAF and the ISU, and we will do a reception all together to provide to the young community what are all the opportunities available out there for students and young professionals in space. So it's going to be a really nice reception. Please take a look at the agenda during the IAC, and we will all be there. So we will be really looking forward to see you all if you're coming to Paris.
Okay, we have time for a few more questions. We have a question: if I am from Peru and live in Germany, which country should I consider when contacting a MPOC?
That's a really good question. We typically, so the trickier part to the question is you can only be the national point of contact of the country you have your citizenship with. However, if you live in Germany, there's no reason why you can't participate in things that's happening in Germany. For example, SG Germany is a huge event locally run by in Germany every year. You can be part of that. You can attend, you can probably even join the organizing team. There's no restriction in any of those. So for you, my suggestion is you should join like the mailing list in Peru and Germany. You should join the Slack channel. Like you can go to any of those. So that doesn't restrict you to where you're from. The only restriction is the national point of contact needs to be the citizenship of the country where you're from. That's it.
Yeah,
So
it actually gives you access to more opportunities. So that was sort of what the situation I was in was. I was living in the Netherlands and then in Italy, but I'm from Pakistan. So I was active in all of the activities going on at SGAC in the Asia Pacific region. And in fact, the first big SGAC event that I was lucky to attend was the Asia Pacific Space Generation Workshop in Singapore, where I also met Faith. And at the same time, I was also able to participate in all sorts of, activities or being organized in Europe at SGAC. So I remember participating in the, going to the SGAC booth at the IAC in Bremen in Germany and other events of the sort. So it actually gives you access to a lot more opportunities. So you should definitely take advantage of them if you can.
Yeah, to add on to getting involved with SGAC, I kind of have the same story as Hamza and Anthony as well. Started out as an MPOC, ran multiple events, webinars, and now am one of the co-leads for the mentoring program. Sometimes it can be quite hard to get into SGAC, to get involved since we are all volunteers. Some of the ways that I found helpful is also subscribing to the newsletters, but also if you have any projects that you don't see has been done yet, you can also initiate projects like with what Anthony said about virtual webinars. I think we ran some during COVID. So a lot of the workshops or webinars even have working groups. And after the workshops are over, like we have an Asia Pacific Space Biology working group that was initiated at one of these events. So it kind of continued, and then now we're publishing a paper at the IAC. So once you get involved into some of the online events, you can do something similar to that as well.
Yeah, and there are so many success stories at SGAC. In fact, Faith, for example, this year is one of our Space Generation Leadership Award winners, and we're incredibly proud of her and looking forward to seeing her in Paris at the IAC and at the Space Generation Congress. And all of that only becomes possible if you involve yourself more and more in our activities and contribute to some of the programs that we're running. But congratulations to Faith.
Thanks a lot, Hamza, and congrats on being co-chair. Okay, do you have any other questions? If not, we can move on to the next section.
Just the very last one on the project group. I think it's from Arya Patel. So with the project, if you have a project ideas and it fits in a project group, you're welcome to approach the project group co-lead to see if they have the capacity or the interest to take on that project. If you have a project that doesn't fit within one of the project group, I suggest you approach our project group coordinators who looks after the 11 project to see if they can put you somewhere or if it's voluntary for a new project group. So that's my approach to that. You can be in more than one project group at a time as long as the project group is okay with that. So it's pretty, you don't have to be just one. Yep, that's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Anthony, Hamza, Davide, and Valentina. Okay, so now I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so like Anthony mentioned, the SGAC Mentoring Program is a great opportunity for early career, for those of you in your early career that are interested in space. This was actually conceptualized at one of the events, the Space Generation Fusion Forum. So it was conceptualized in one of the working groups. So one of the working groups suggested it. And at the same time, SGAC Alumni Network was announced as well. So the program connects mentees and who are interested or in their early careers with mentors and experts in the space sector. So mentors provide guidance and advice to mentees while further developing their own leadership skills. And mentees also get to benefit from personalized advice or guidance from experts already working in the space sector to sound out part of their career planning or plan for the long term, how to get into a completely new field. And also it's a networking opportunity. So the new team, usually we have 2 sessions yearly of 3 months each, once in spring and once in fall. It's completely free. And also the new team was just onboarded because the program was growing. So we have new goals to increase the diversity of mentors. And so part of the pillar for the mentoring program is also we have career development resources such as a structured journey, a Slack networking group, guides, virtual mixers, activity sheets. And this fall, we're also going to launch a Best Mentor Award. So this allows us to recognize the efforts and leadership capabilities of our mentors. And also we have collaborations with organizations such as SSPI. So this allows mentees to access mentors from reputable organizations. So this is the new mentoring journey of 3 months each, but it is more of a suggested guideline or a checklist to follow. So in month 1, how it will start off is that mentors and mentees will receive guides and set up the first virtual or in-person meeting to decide actions, goals, rules that govern the relationship. And then in month 2, ideally they will set up 2 virtual meetings, but they can have more as well. They can also create their own structure. And this entire program is supposed to, or is rather is intended to be mentee initiated. So mentees ideally will make the first move to reach out to the mentors as well as initiate the documentation of the journey. And then in month 3, they will reflect and share key takeaways and feedback and decide if they want to informally continue the relationship. And throughout the whole mentoring journey, we'll have career-related webinars. As Anthony mentioned, we'll also be organizing a scholarships webinar and potentially a virtual social mixer where mentors and mentees can mingle online and discuss, share their learning journeys together. So for the upcoming fall 2022 session, it's currently open for applications up to 3 September for mentees. And so the team is very passionate about this, but our goal for this time around is to increase the access to mentors from the field of space life sciences, space law, as well as the commercial space fields. But we also want to increase opportunities in terms of increasing the diversity for regions, fields of interest as well. Yeah. So the program itself would start in 23 October and it will end around 15 January the next year. So you can go to our webpage to apply. So who is eligible for this program? So mentors, your background, your current work, or your volunteer roles must be associated with space. You must have ideally completed your undergraduate studies, and master students are also eligible, or you should have equivalent experience. So we're asking for professional experience of about 3 years for those without educational background. And if you have a professional experience of over 3 to 5 years in a space-related field, it's an asset. But we also understand that some mentors might not have had access to space opportunities. So overall, each application is accessed on a case-by-case basis, because if a mentor is very experienced in space adjacent fields, like their years of building their own startup, their own consultancy, they will definitely be considered as well. And for mentees, so as mentioned, because this is the SGAC program, it must be between the age of 18 to 35 years to submit an application. We recommend that you prepare all your answers in a document elsewhere before submitting your application, and to for us to match you suitably, because there are a lot of applications. So ideally, if you can specify your expectations in terms of experience, field of interest, regions, or time zones. So experience can also mean non-space related, such as internships, projects they have done before, they have initiated on your own, just to show that you have a lot of interest and commitment to the mentoring program for the 3 months. But for everything else, it will be broad as possible. What does this mean? So sometimes we have applications where mentees will write that they specifically want someone from a division in NASA, or they want someone from the International Space University. So we do have mentors that fit this criteria, but if everyone is asking for it, it's very hard to assign, and most likely you will not be able to get your top preference. So if you can specify as broad as possible for things outside experience, field of interest, region, type, or time zones, it make it easier for us to match you. And again, each application is accessed on a case-by-case basis. Yeah, so this is the mentoring committee, the team behind it. And this slide is actually just to say that actually we are looking for more people to join us. So this is an opportunity to get into SGAC as well, because we're trying to grow the program in terms of diversity and other goals. Yep. So now we're going to move to questions. Do you have any questions? Okay, I see there's some questions in the chat. Someone mentioned for the mentoring program, they just got their high school diploma, but they are going to be an undergraduate the next month. So if you apply by 3 September, yes, if you're 18 years old, you definitely can apply. Okay, are there any other questions?
Pardon me, Faith, may I please ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I'm just on your website trying to apply for the mentoring program as we speak, and just want to ask if all of the mentoring will be webinars, or would you be expecting also on-location mentoring as well?
So do you mean in-person mentoring?
Yes.
So that will be completely up to the mentor and mentees to decide. But so one of the first few when we ask them to do the applications is to indicate preferred time zone or region. So we try to match with the similar geographical locations. So if you're in the same city and you want to meet up for coffee, it's much better that way. Definitely feel free to go ahead. Yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. Sorry, just a follow-up question. I have many questions. Sorry. If we are successful in attaining said position in the mentoring program, would yourselves be giving any type of training in regards to this? Because I'm a teacher of 8 years, so as you can imagine, every place has its own methodologies and would like those methodologies to be implemented. So I'm wondering if you would give us that training as well. Thank you.
I am not sure if SGAC in itself is qualified to give mentorship training, but for that, we are rolling out a guide for mentors to follow, because we're trying to empower the mentees as well to initiate a lot of these conversations. So most of the times they'll be the one trying to suggest what the flow might be. Yeah. But in terms of resources for mentors, we are looking to improve that as well. Maybe in terms of webinars, we can get experts on board. who would be qualified to advise on mentoring or leadership. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your answers. I appreciate it.
And just to add on, we do take feedback as well at the end of every session. So we do our best to implement that feedback from mentors and mentees. So what we are launching this year is actually the suggested feedbacks from the previous session. Yeah. Do we have any other questions? Okay. Patimida, you can definitely apply whether you would like to be a mentor or mentee. You can apply, yeah. And then someone else, a master's in aerospace engineering. I'll be starting my PhD this year. So should I apply for mentee positions as I don't have professional work experience? So I would say that for this is up to, it depends on what professional level you're at. So for example, if you are a bachelor level student and you're thinking of applying to a master's program at any stage of your career, whether it's in academia or in industry, you can definitely apply, and we'll try our best to assign you to what you specify that you would like. Yeah, so we do have people with 10 years of industry experience applying to be a mentee as well, but maybe they are looking for a career switch, for example. So we will do our best to match to someone who is most qualified to deal with that.
I would just, say that I've met so many people that have participated in this mentorship program that SGAC runs, and then that Faith and her team organize so brilliantly. And these mentees and mentors often end up, developing such a close professional working relationship and partnership that they, launch their own projects, that they, help each other out in different ways. We've had mentees, follow in the footsteps of their mentors and completely turn their careers around. So there are so many success stories that have come out of this mentorship program that I can only, continue to praise the impact that it has had on the SGAC members that have participated. So if you're looking to get in touch with someone who's had a successful, experience participating in this program, then I'm sure that's also possible. But this is a great opportunity for everyone that's, either already in the space industry and trying to do something different, or trying to enter the space industry, or just trying to learn from the experiences of other people who have had successful and excellent careers and are keen to, facilitate the next generation to move in that same direction. Just thought I'd add that.
Thanks, Hamza. Okay, we have a question from Jorge. Is all the program in English? Yeah, so definitely the program is in English by default, as well as the webinars and the resources. But if you indicate what preferred language you want, and also we have the main qualifying field, so we do let you select which region you would like your mentor to be in. So maybe there is a chance that we might be able to find somebody who speaks the same language as well.
And just to add to your question, Ho, the SGAC does primarily run in English, especially it's basically our working business language. However, in some of our regions and countries, the programming might actually be in the local language. I think Spanish is one of the bigger ones. So, if you feel like, it's a challenge to be involved in English, SGAC does offer the opportunity to have things in the local languages. So I would keep an eye out, particularly in your own country or your own region, to see if that's available, or suggest that, it be run in that language. So just to let you know that it's not always just English.
Okay, do you have any other questions? Okay, so for this, the list of mentors aren't public unless they have decided to give testimonials. But our mentors come from everywhere. Some of them are from NASA, ESA, and you can go to the mentoring webpage as well. There are some testimonials on there. Okay, I think this question is for the executive team. What is the role of the national point of contact?
Again, I think it's better if we answer it in terms of the national point of contact and maybe the regional coordinator at the same time. So one part of the structure of SGAC is that it works a little bit like the United Nations structure in that there is representations from the countries that makes up the world, and the regional coordinator helps coordinate within that region's country. So for example, we have the region of Asia Pacific and Middle East, Africa, South America, Europe, and North and Central America. So that regional coordinator has a group of certain number of countries in that region. Say Middle East has a group of certain countries in that region, and they coordinate the activities for those national point of contacts. So for the national point of contact, the main idea of them is to be the representative for that country within SGAC, and the rest is kind of up to you and what the country can are interested. I think a lot of things that you can do is actually connect what is happening locally within that country, right? A country is pretty big, so what kind of like space related programs are within your country? Can you get them to work together? And host a national event? Can you kind of at least kind of like connect those people, or maybe like encourage like space activities within that country? It also goes the other way. As that national point of contact, your job is also to disseminate what's happening in SGAC as opportunities to people in your own country. So things that are coming from SGAC in terms of like opportunities like the mentoring program, like vacancies, like scholarships, like events, you should be talking to the people within your country and connecting them to those opportunities. The regional coordinator's job is to manage the MPOCs, which can number between 10 to 50. And that's why they do actually need 5 hours a week on average, because it's their job to kind of coordinate. That's a very senior leadership position within SGAC. And their job is to kind of be the senior leadership and voice within SGAC. So they coordinate activities across a whole region, including the regional workshops. Again, and the job is to disseminate SGAC opportunities to the population within that region. They also contribute to internal administration and policy making within SGAC as regional coordinator. So that's quite a senior position. So yeah, so just those, I think those answers the rest of those questions. I would say that I would encourage you to look at some of the other positions. Regional coordinators are very, very competitive. So those are literally the position before you become chairs. So I would encourage you to kind of join the team, because I think it's better to learn as a team member. I started off in the web team as a web editor 8 years ago. So I think that's where you'll get the best learning about what SGAC does.
Yeah, again, the mentoring program is looking for new members. Yeah, and a lot of the team members will lead their own projects and collaborate. So it's an opportunity for professional growth as well. Okay, that's all the time we have for questions actually. Anthony, Hamza, or anyone else, would you like to add on any last words?
I just really want to say thank you, Faith and Megha, and the rest of the mentoring team to put together this webinar. You guys do a fantastic job with our mentoring program. It's one of the cornerstone of our professional development. So thank you so much for your effort. And I always love enjoying answering these questions. And I think it's really helpful for people to ask these questions, because otherwise I think SGAC is a little bit of a black box. And so, especially for me and Hamza, we're always available you can reach out through Slack. I will try to reply to those too, but we are actually quite available. But thank you so much, the mentoring team, for putting this together.
Yeah, and thank you so much to the executive team for making the time to come today. Before everyone leaves, and can we just have a quick photo session? So to turn on your videos, and maybe you can just take a quick screenshot. Okay, awesome. See so many videos being turned on. Okay, I hope I'm pressing the print screen correctly. Okay, I'm gonna wait like 3 more seconds and then we're gonna start. Okay, okay, I'm gonna start screenshotting. And the second page as well. Okay, that should be all. Okay, thank you very much everyone for joining us here today. If you have any questions, just go to the mentoring page. There's a list of emails and resources there.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks,
Everyone.
Faith. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.